everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lucy and today I am filming my first ever Q&A video. I can't believe I've not filmed a Q&A video on this channel yet, but here it is. Here is my first ever Q&A. Thanks to all of you who submitted questions through my Twitter, which is @BookBelleReads, and one of my previous videos, which was my summer reading TBR list. I think I'm going to get started on the questions from Twitter. And the first question is from @Isla McTeer from Twitter. So it says, what is the role of a publicity officer? What's the best part of the job? So if you don't know, I work as a publicity officer for Scholastic Children's Books. Oh, this is a tough one. So I work across loads of authors, loads of books. Pretty sweet, and I organise interviews, I organise author events, so it's basically shouting about books to people and getting books into people's hands. In terms of the best parts of the job, working with authors is fantastic. I just love it, and also there's a really nice feeling in publishing of just, it's more of a community, and I really just love that feeling of everyone collaborating and just loving books and wanting to shout about them. Okay, so the next question is from the lovely Alex from Twitter, which is @long_Alex, and it's, do you prefer Bronte or Austen? So this is a really obvious choice for me. I am a full-on Austen fan. I feel like I talk about Austen a lot on this channel, and that's why, yeah, it's such a natural choice. I'm obsessed with all of Austen's novels. I've read all of Austen's novels. I watch the films all the time. I'm an Austenite. But thanks for your question, Alex. That's a really good one. I do also love the Bronte sisters. So it's quite a tricky one because Wuthering Heights is one of my all-time favourite books, so it is quite a tricky one there. I'm going to have to go with my homegirl Jane Austen. So the next question is from the lovely Charlie from Twitter, which is @CharlieInABook, and her question is, what's been your most surreal publishing moment? This is a really hard one because I don't really talk about the specifics of my job much, just because, you know, I kind of keep some worlds quite separate. I have quite a few surreal moments in publishing. I often, when I'm at a festival and I'm watching an amazing author that I'm working with just doing their thing, that's always just so surreal. When I'm at launch parties and authors are thanking me for working on their book, that's always surreal. So I feel like there's a surreal moment like almost every month. There's always something to remind me why I want to work in publishing. The amazing Jim, who is @YA on Twitter, said, are there any books you think all children should read? Yes, there are. This is actually a tricky one in terms of age group, and all the books that are jumping out at me are on the older spectrum, so kind of like, you know, secondary school, maybe year 7 up. And I would say Lord of the Flies, because that was a book that I remember reading in secondary school and I just really loved it, and I thought, I feel like all people and all children should read this, but also the classics, and children's classics especially, so like Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland. I think there's something very eternal about those books, and I feel like all children should read them. The lovely Gracie on Twitter, who is @GracieActually, said, who is your favourite author that you have and haven't worked with? This is such a horrible question, but I would say that I don't have a favourite author who I've worked with and who I haven't worked with. I think working with an author in general is pretty fantastic. Favourite author in general, this is a really hard one because I have loads, mainly Sarah J Maas, J.K. Rowling, of course, the Queen. And then I'm going to say some that are out of the box, like Philippa Gregory. I would say Philippa Gregory is one of my favourite authors. I would read anything that comes out by her. So thank you to everyone who submitted a question to me on Twitter, and now YouTube questions. So the next question is, have you ever judged a book by its cover? Yes, I do this all the time, and it's something that I don't feel any shame in doing. I think a book cover serves a purpose. A book cover is for the consumer or the reader to take a look at and see if their attention is drawn to it. A cover is meant to attract people. So I think if a book has a gorgeous cover, it automatically makes me want to read it, and I think that isn't something to be ashamed of. It just means the cover designer and the publisher have done a stellar job. So yeah, I just love book cover design, and if I see a book with a gorgeous cover, I am more likely, more willing to buy it. And the next question is from Emma Alton, Drinking by My Shelf. Excellent name, by the way. And she says, if you could only bring 3 books to a desert island where you'd be stuck on for 10 years, what books would they be? Oh my god, this is hard. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, probably A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, because that book just everything. And finally, I would choose, this is kind of cheating, but I would choose a anthology of Shakespeare plays or something like that, because with that you're always going to get something new out of it. And if I'm stuck on an island for 10 years, then great, I'll just read Shakespeare's plays for like all that time and I'll be like the most intense Shakespeare fan ever. Okay, so the next question is from Ginger Julia 123 from YouTube. She says, do you have any advice for getting your first job in publishing? I have made 2 videos about this so far, so I'll link them below. One is everything you need to know about getting your first job in publishing, and the next video is actually a collab with Sana from Books and Quills, and we talk about social media and how that can help you get a job in publishing. My tips, however, just quickly, would be to learn a lot about the industry. Don't go in blind. Find out everything you can know about it, from the different departments to different types of publishers, trade, educational, and also do research into the different publishing houses too, because that way you'll find out what job you actually want to go for, and then that will really help you in terms of applying. I'd also suggest really getting your CV and your covering letter ready to send the moment a job comes up. You've got a perfect CV and then you've got a covering letter that you can just tweak and amend depending on what type of job you're submitting it for. So I think having a base CV and covering letter handy on your laptop, on your drive, whatever, all the time, just so when a job does come up you're prepared and you can send that off. Okay, so the next question is from Waldo777 on YouTube, and they say, do you have a routine or any steps that you take before starting writing, brainstorming, or how you get the idea for plots, etc.? So I always have to have music. I always have to reread what I've written so far, and in terms of like a routine, I don't really have a routine for brainstorming because I'm really bad in that I don't really plan at all. I just write by the seat of my pants. I just go for it, which can be very problematic. So I always keep a notebook next to me if I do want to scribble ideas down. That's always helpful. I've just got to have the right music. I've got to have the right atmosphere. I've got to have like a drink. It's just got to be the perfect setting, which can be tricky to find. So yeah, that's my kind of routine for writing. And their second question was, what is your favourite fantasy book? I know this one is hard to choose, so please pick 3 to 5. Well, I actually have my 2 favourite fantasy books at the minute, so this is all subject to change, of course. But my 2 favourite fantasy books will come as no surprise. Number 1 is Mistborn: The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Number 2 is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. I really adore both these books. They're both quite different, but they're both kind of epic fantasy, really kick-ass heroines. I adore these. The next question is from JG, the Awkward Bookworm, here on YouTube. So thanks for your question. It is, how many books do you own in total? Well, this question's problematic because I don't know, and it's really terrifying because I think in this current house I own about 250, nearly 300. I have just purged a lot of my books and given them to charity, so I would say about 200 to 250 actually. Then at home, back at my hometown, so where I was born, my parents' house, that's a different story. I think I have about 250 to 300 books there. So in total, it's like 400 or 500 books. It's a nightmare, and I need to like actually read some of those. So yeah, fun times. The next question is from Sabrin Sadiq. I hope I pronounced that right. And their question is, what is a book that you've read in one sitting? So the book I've read in one sitting is Asking for It, and this is by Louise O'Neill. So this book just completely destroyed me. I read this in about 3 to 4 hours. It's about this time last year actually. I had the afternoon off work, I just sat down and read it, and it was the most harrowing, emotional thing I think I've ever read. And I think reading it that quick absolutely destroyed me. So it's a very quick read, but it's also a very powerful and distressing read at times. I would 100% recommend this though. And the next 2 questions are from Book Geek Movie Freak on YouTube. And the first question is, what made you decide to start a YouTube channel? I get this question quite a lot in like terms of panels, or whenever I meet people for the first time, they're always like, why'd you start a YouTube channel? Well, I did it because I was in my final year at uni and I didn't want to do my uni work, so I was like, you know what, I really want to start a YouTube channel and just talk about books that I'm reading. I had also been watching like a few booktube channels. I think they were like the first booktube channels for quite a few months, and I just thought, why can't I do that? you know, I may as well give it a go. So I did, and here I am now. So that was it for my first Q&A video. Thank you to all of you who submitted questions. It really meant a lot to me, and I'm just thrilled to have done my first Q&A. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe down below for weekly bookish videos. I'm also on Snapchat and Twitter. I'll leave all the links down below. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!